Hey everybody, it's Dalmatia Productions here bringing you guys another video now. Normally I would not be doing a video right now because normally I would be in class right now, but I am home again for the third day this week, for the third time. And so yesterday I posted a new video about what software I will be using, and I just want to explain what software I'll be using because yesterday I had my mic off, and I will mention that in a future video, so about some videos not having a mic on, some do and some don't. So first I want to mention that the software that I will be using soon is GIMP. So I'm going to be showing you guys what software I will be using, soon. So, and I'll be using GIMP, Darktable, Digicam, and DaVinci Resolve, which I already showed in yesterday's video. So if anybody doesn't know what GIMP is, GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program. I cannot say that correctly, which is basically pretty much a raster's image editor, which is kind of similar to what Adobe Photoshop is, which is what my friend uses for thumbnails. It's available for Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. It is free software, so GIMP provides you with tools to get your job done, thanks to many customization with third-party plugins. Yeah, you can see how very similar it is on the application to Photoshop. So yeah, the programming languages that it uses is Python, Scheme, C++, Perl, and C. It provides color management features to ensure high fidelity color reproduction across digital and printed media. It is best used in workflows such as Scribus, Inkscape, and Swatchbooker, Inkscape is another software I will be using soon for vector images. It provides programming languages include Scheme, Python, Perl, and more. So pretty much GIMP, how this all started was, if I go to the prehistory here, this started all back in 1995. This guy named Peter Mattis posted a message in several news groups related to X1, X11, and Linux application development, asking 2 questions and giving hints about interesting program. 2 weeks before, he was mentioning some programs using plugins, and you could see that. I'm not going to read that. November of 1995, an announcement, and then in November comes the first announcement of beta release of the general image multiplication program that GIMP later renamed just GIMP. So you could see that they were in the process of making a new application. So February of 1996, GIMP 0.5.4. GIMP 0.5.4, the infamous multi release, is announced in February of 1996. Now I want to apologize for yesterday's video. I noticed yesterday's video there were a few glitches. One of them was when I was scrolling up with the Wikipedia page, which I'm not going to do in this video. So, and I know Extreme has been asking me to do voiceover. I'm just kind of redo this, so I'm not going to make it like yesterday. So, and then we go back to ancient history. I'm not going to read this, but yeah, this was ancient history of GIMP and how this project all started. This is developed by volunteers all over the world. So you could see 1996. I don't know if this started around the same time that Photoshop did. I know a lot of people use Photoshop, but I'm not really a fan of Adobe products. So, because after... Yeah, I used to use it, I used to try it, and I was like, no, because it uses too many resources, so now, I don't want to read this once again, but you guys can go ahead. If you want to read this, guys, I will be putting a link in the description about GIMP after this video, hopefully, if I am not lazy enough to do that. So do new development model. And in a bit here, I actually will show you the differences between Photoshop and GIMP, because I know one of my friends uses Photoshop for thumbnails. So, and Lightroom, I think is what it's called. I think that's a photo editing And this is pretty much how it all started out and everything, so, and like, so, and then we got the history, and then you can see these are all the release dates of GIMP, and you can see how much lack of releases they have here. And I'm pretty sure Adobe releases new updates to Photoshop every year, so they don't do much either. So the next software that I will be using will be Darktable. I didn't show this in yesterday's video. Darktable is another alternative to Lightroom, which is another software that my friend uses, and he never told me why he uses it, but so Darktable is an open source photography workflow application in RAW developer. A virtual light table and darkroom for photographers. It manages your digital negatives in the database, lets you view them through a zoomable light table, and enables you to develop raw image and enhance them. So yeah, this is, you can tell the interface looks really similar to Lightroom, and pretty much this has to do with editing photos and stuff like that. So yep, so that's Darktable. Another software that I will be using will be Digicam, and as of right now, Digicam has 7.1.0, has a huge bug where the icons are missing on the application, so that's why I'm not using it right now. So Digicam is basically a professional photo management with the power of open source. So this is basically a image organizer, maybe, okay. Is an advanced open source digital photo management that runs on Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. The application provides a comprehensive set of tools for importing, managing, editing, and sharing photos in RAW files. And yeah, you can see there's the rest of the information there. And they're about to release version 7.2. And so here's a little bit of a comparison between GIMP and Photoshop. Now, GIMP and Photoshop are really similar. The only difference is Photoshop is more of proprietary, which is closed source. And you can see, yeah, Adobe Photoshop has long stood at the top of the professional image editing software, but it's always been attracted to a pro-level price. While Photoshop is much friendlier on your wallet than it was years ago, thanks to a $10 subscription plan, the industry standard editor would never be as affordable as GIMP, an open source photo editor that encompasses several of Photoshop's heavy-hitting tools. GIMP, which stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program, is an open source free Photoshop alternative. Besides the free price points, the open source design means that the program welcomes code adjustments along with being available for Mac, Windows, and Linux. But how does that stack up the programs so popular that it's been turned into a verb? Here's what photo editors need to know when they decide between GIMP and Photoshop. So the pros of GIMP is free, it's small download, while Photoshop is a big download. Includes many of the same tools, editable code. The cons, however, it lacks the professional interface of Photoshop. Updates aren't as frequent. Same thing goes to Photoshop. Missing some advanced tools. Lacks graphic designs features like CMYK. While GIMP might be free, Photoshop is no longer the $700 program it once was, with the advent of the Creative Cloud. Adobe moved all of its major programs over to a subscription model, which means you have to continue paying for it for as long as you want to use it, and those monthly fees will add up over time. Fortunately, if you're just in the market for Photoshop, the $10 photography plan is pretty easy to stomach. What's more, the subscription model ensures you're always running the latest version of the app. Photography plan also includes Lightroom, this is something that Extreme uses, he never told me why, a non-destructive raw photo editor, an organizer that integrates well with Photoshop, Adobe Camera Raw for converting and opening raw images in Photoshop, and 20 gigabytes of cloud storage to which you can add more for additional fee. All of this adds up to an undeniably good value at $10 per month, but that still comes out to a more than free. GIMP doesn't offer as complete a package as a Creative Cloud photography plan. It doesn't include cloud storage nor its own raw processor and organizer, though you can opt in for open source Lightroom competitor like Raw Reaper, which I don't personally use. I will be using Darktable really soon. GIMP also needs a plugin to convert open raw files, which fortunately is also free. Photoshop has long been an industry standard for photo editing as well as graphic design. GIMP, like other open source programs, tend to have fewer advanced features since there's no company motivated by profit to continue to improve it. But free doesn't mean bad, and for some type of users, GIMP has all the necessary essentials without needless bloat. It also takes up less space on your hard drive. As an open source program, GIMP is easy to customize even if you don't have the programming knowledge to just open source code. GIMP has several plugins to expand features where the user interface can be easily customized. Program is lightweight, so besides taking up less room on the computer, it's also compatible with older computers and budget devices that may not have the RAM that Photoshop requires. Tool-wise, GIMP can handle the same basic and mid-level ETS, and in some cases even more advanced ETS that Photoshop can. If you just need to crop and resize a photo, GIMP can easily do the job. While not quite as advanced as Photoshop, GIMP isn't just bare bones photo editing either. It still offers layers, curves, filters, and many more tools that go well beyond basic. But as industry standard with a dedicated company making frequent updates, Photoshop is certainly the most powerful program. For example, GIMP has just one healing brush, while Photoshop has 4. GIMP also doesn't handle CMYK color, doesn't allow for non-destructive photo editing using adjustment layers, and require plugins for some features that are built into Photoshop. Adobe also innovates a blazing pace and starts integrating artificial intelligence into Photoshop several years ago with tools like Face-Aware Liquify, which automatically detects features of a person's face and lets you resize the eyes, the mouth, and nose without having to make any manual selections. That's not to say GIMP never sees updates. In fact, the software usually sees some sort of minor or major update every few months, and plans for both non-destructive editing and CMYK support are in progress. Photoshop's interface feels less clunky, and it's an industry standard more familiar with for experienced users. GIMP might not be as clearly designed, but because it has fewer tools, it's in more ways to customize it. It can look less intimidating for beginners. It's not exactly pretty. Both programs have an obvious learning curve for new users, and thanks to its popularity, Photoshop has more tutorials to help you how to master it, whether Adobe's own or from a number of online resources like Creative Live. But you won't have a hard time finding GIMP tutorials on YouTube either, as the program has an active community working to support it. For a free program, GIMP has a lot to offer. In fact, even if it wasn't free, it would be still one of the most feature-rich images out there. But more serious photographers, frequent users, tend to prefer Photoshop's tools, interface, and seamless compatibility with Lightroom. It also has a couple huge advantages with like adjustment layers, which allow for non-destructive editing like CMYK support, which, while a niche feature, it's also necessary for those who need it. With all of that Creative Cloud subscription money pouring every month, Adobe also continuously pump out new features, usually long before anyone else. And really, as $10 per month for the photography plan, Photoshop isn't exactly expensive. The value that serious photographers and designers will get from it seem well worth it. But for beginners or people who just need to retouch the occasional image, GIMP is more than enough to get the job done. We can't argue with that price. And for anybody who's wondering, I will show you what GIMP looks like on my computer. Hopefully if it doesn't lag, because I know it did lag last time. Here's what GIMP looks like if you guys didn't know. And this will take a few minutes depending how fast your computer is. It's gonna start extensions, and this is what GIMP looks like. So you can see it has a very similar interface to Photoshop, and this is what I'm going to be using for thumbnails, because my friend Extreme is going to be making thumbnails. He told me he will make thumbnails for my videos, because for some reason nobody on my channel has made thumbnails for me, so that's pretty much that. And I also want to show you another program that I will be using, which will be Inkscape. I think I forgot to mention this in my last video. This is another application that I will be using soon for dealing with vectors and stuff like that. So Inkscape is really similar to Illustrator, which I don't think Extreme uses. This is what I'll be using soon to deal with vectors. So, and then we got DaVinci Resolve, which recently I updated it off screen. So pretty much I had to download the latest version. And this is what I'm going to be using to edit my videos, even though this is a very heavy program. And I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I'm going to have to look up videos of how to use DaVinci Resolve because, you know, it's very similar to Adobe Premiere Pro, which is pretty much what everybody uses. And DaVinci Resolve takes up a lot of space too, compared to how much space Premiere Pro does. So this, I'm going to open the project here and I'll show you guys what the interface looks like. So here's what the interface of DaVinci Resolve looks like. So you can see the interface looks really similar to the Adobe Premiere Pro. And yeah, you can see it has a little bit of a similar interface. And I actually did try this on my computer and it does work really well despite having not enough memory. So, yeah, so I don't think that's anything, I don't think I have anything else to say besides, you know, the software that I'll be using for future stuff like GIMP for thumbnails, Resolve for video editing, and Digicam for organizing my photos, and Darktable for editing my photos. So anyways guys, I'm gonna end the video here, so I will see you guys in my next video. Alright everybody.